Now we're live. Let's go. Let me get the music up. Hello, everybody. Good evening to you, and welcome to another rendition. Actually, this is the last rendition for this year, for 2025. But welcome to our Friday night live podcast. Tonight, and you guys who have been following me have heard me talk about this particular young lady who means something special to me. Her name is Pastor Mitty Collier. And I want to tell you why before we start talking with her. Most of you know that my mom, Maddie Ruth, has gone on to heaven, but this was her favorite, one of her favorite songs. And we played this song. It wasn't every day, it was every other day. And I'm talking about 2 or 3 times a day. Never mind the weekend. We're not even going to talk about the weekend because that was going from 9 o'clock in the morning until whatever. But this particular song, the writing of this song, accompanied with Pastor Collier's voice, her emotion, her excitement, everything in this is something that will make, here's the best terminology I can give you. Philadelphians, and you know what I'm talking about. It'll make you get off the C bus and walk all the way home. You understand what I'm saying? So this is one of those songs that will touch you in a minute. Yes. Pastor Collier, welcome to our show. Give her a nice round of applause, please.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Crowley. Just to hear you talk, just to see your face, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's just jump right into this because an hour is going to go pretty fast. Let me ask you this. You're obvious. It's not, I'm not asking, I'm making a comment, but I would like for you to comment on your roots. Started out like so many other great entertainers in the gospel world. Talk about that for a moment, if you would, please.
Well, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. That's my home. And a little girl, I was in the choir at First Baptist Church there in Pratt City. And people would come just to hear me sing. And our choir was in the back of this big church, the junior choir was, and people would be turning around just to see who this little girl was. And everybody practically knew me then. And so that's where I grew up, and that's where I grew up in the church there, singing in the church, and had different groups after I kept going. And in school, of course, I sang in school, in the elementary school, and I sang at my elementary school 8th grade graduation, Oh Danny Boy. And the principal of the high school that I was going to happened to be the speaker for that day. And when he finished, he came and said, "You won't go anywhere but to my office first, because you will represent Western Olin High School." And I did. Yeah, it was good.
So you got drafted without even asking for it.
Without even asking, got drafted. And I never did like to sing in the choir there at the school. So I was chosen when the choir was supposed to go somewhere and couldn't go. I was chosen to go. To sing, to represent the choir.
Okay. Well, your history starting out is like so many other legends, if you will. And I'm talking about starting out in the gospel vein in church and choirs and that type of thing. So many of them started at that way that you well know of. But I just wanted to hear you give us a start as to how you got started. My next question before I move on.
Let me tell you something before you go on, Ali.
Yes.
When I was singing R&B, and we used to travel on this big bus, all of the entertainers. And nobody would ever sing their song that they was getting ready to go on stage and sing. Somebody on the bus, Jackie Wilson or Gladys Knight or somebody would say, "Now let us all," and baby, the whole the whole bus said, "All go back to the old." And we were bringing that bus going down the highway singing gospel songs. Nobody ever sang the blues while we were traveling. And when we got to the room, everybody was singing the church song, and everybody knew the song because it was just like you said. everybody started in church.
Okay. Okay. All right. That is all. That's awesome. That's great information. It's almost like the caravan or cavalcade of stars. Is
Uh,
that
uh,
when you were traveling, that type of thing?
yeah, we have. It was that was a tour that went out 4 times a year, and you had different ones on it from Motown, from Chess, from the different from Stack, and we would be on the bus because see, you could not travel by yourselves then. It was dangerous down the
Right.
highways to travel.
Right.
And so we traveled together on the bus and we, would just get together and sing and we go from place to place like that in the
Okay.
bar. Like we got to be real close. And I found out, Ali, when I came to the Lord, that the people that I sang R&B with, and they had more love than the folk in the church, honestly. They really,
I know that either the professor or Restful Spirit got that question coming up, so I'm not going to touch that right now. I'll let them come with that because we want to. These are the things that we'd like to hear about. This show is built around the things that happen behind the curtains that we don't read about. We buy an album, we flip it over, we read it, we come to the show, we sit 400 miles behind and see you up on the stage, then we go talk about it for a whole week. What we're talking about now for the next hour or 45 minutes, whatever it is things that happen that we don't know about, that you're not going to read on the back of an album, that you're not going to read on the inserts of a CD, things that you can tell us that you lived, that you saw, that you tasted, that you witnessed. These are the things that we're going to talk about here. So thank you so very, very much. One more question I have before I'm going to move over. How much of an influence, or was there an influence, of Ray Charles to you? And I'm asking that because this album that I have, Shades of a Genius, you've got several songs on his on there.
Four on it. Not too much. It was just that I was blues singer, R&B, and the way he sang, everybody just enjoyed it. And they were trying to find some other songs because we'll get down to the ones that you talked about earlier. But we were trying to find somebody else. The Chess Brothers were trying to find somebody else that I could sing their songs. And I just happened to like those particular songs, those 4 songs, because I used to sing them in the nightclub before I left Birmingham. I sung those songs, so I just went back and got them.
Okay. Good answer. Very good answer. I'm going to step back and let Restful come on in.
Yes. Hi, Pastor Mitty. It's a pleasure meeting you. And thank you for joining us. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said, you sound like you know me because that's what my ministry mainly called me, Pastor Mitty.
Okay, I might be saying it wrong.
We never know what Russell's going to do every week. We just never know, But
listen, is it true your professional career began after you winning the DJ Al Benson talent show? And if it's true, do you remember the song you chose for the audience or the performance and why?
I sure do. It was one song. My French teacher at Miles College came to Chicago before me because he was very influential in my life in Birmingham and helping me to sing around Birmingham in the nightclub there. And he's the one that would go around. We didn't have America Got Talent and all those shows that we have now. The talent shows took place in the taverns here in Chicago. But there was one, the biggest one, was the Al Benson talent show, and it took place at the Regal Theater. And so when we went to the audition to be on the show, there were hundreds there to be on the show. And when I got up to sing, and I did Della Reese, I Know Someday You'll Want Me to Want You. Ooh. And when I got up, Al Benson said, well, the rest of y'all can go for second and third place, because y'all go win first place. And sure enough, I did. And that was one of the prizes was to record for Chess Records. So that's
wow. Okay. Good question there, Russell. Good question. Drew, come on in.
Hey, Pastor Mitty, this is Andrew here. In the beginning of your at the beginning of your career, you toured with the likes of Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle, Jackie Wilson, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give who gave you the most guidance as you were starting your career young, touring with those folks?
Good
Well,
question.
everybody was mainly young then. I might have been, I think Gladys and Patty were the most ones that were young. So it was like we helped one another together, you know,
Okay.
to travel and to get along and to grow and to love, most of all. That's why I said I found more love with those people than I did when I finally came to the Lord. Because, and it was strange. I could not believe it, that there was so much hatred. And it was mainly because of jealousy in the people who were singing gospel songs. But on the road, we all just became like sisters and brothers, you know, just fell in love with one another. I really missed Jackie Wilson because I was still out there when he died. And Otis Redding, these are the people that we travel with. And Marvin Gaye, ooh, how sweet it is. You know, just some wonderful, wonderful people. Gladys was my best friend on the road, along with Betty Everett and Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells at that particular time. We all traveled together. So we became like sisters and brothers on the road.
So, Pastor Mitty, do you still keep in touch with Gladys? Well, she's still out there touring as well.
I don't, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit later on, but it was, and I think you said something to me earlier about that, about old things passed away. So I cut those things out of my life completely. When I came to the Lord, I even gave away all of my blues records to my brother. He's the one who wanted them. And I turned my life around completely. And people ask me, well, why can't, because I had recording come to after I got my voice back. I'm probably getting ahead of what you all want to do, how God's restored my singing voice. The first thing that I wanted to do was to go back and sing I Had a Talk with God last night, because that's where that song came from. Right. But my old life just passed away from me, as the scripture said, and all things became new. And I didn't find being in the field, in the gospel field now, I didn't find it at all charming to be in the R&B field. So I didn't frequent those shows anymore, and still don't. I didn't listen to the music. And believe me, I tried for a while until God said, who you think you are? People don't need two Holy Ghost. Why in the world they going to church and they listen to that? Well, you know, that wasn't a part of their old things. So God said, people don't need two Holy Ghosts. I'll let them know what they can do and what they cannot do. Girl asked me the other day, Sharon, about dancing. She said, I love to dance. And I know that she loves the Lord. I know that she's saved. And she asked me on my Bible class, what did I think about that? I said, I think whatever the Lord makes you comfortable, you're comfortable doing it, you do it. That's you. I'm comfortable with what I do. And the Spirit of the Lord will allow you to know what it is that you should not do and the things that you can do. One thing, we always want to let our light shine so we won't cause anybody to stumble. But I feel like if you want to dance, I told her, dance if you're comfortable with dancing. If it's not good for you, believe me, God will let you know. You don't need two Holy Ghost.
Okay. So you are still singing gospel today, correct?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Believe it or not, I just really made history. This was the first time that I sang on the Blues Festival. Chicago had the biggest blues festival there was under Mayor Washington. Sasha Dalton headed that blues festival. And I mean, people from all over the world came. and she did the gospel fest, and they never ever had a gospel song at the blues festival until this year, when I was honored at the Chicago Blues Festival. And they
Wow.
called
That is
me up
awesome. That
and
is
asked
awesome.
me, would I sing? I had a talk with my man last night at the Blues Festival. They want to honor me. I said, of course I won't, because I won't compromise my Christianity for no honor. And so they said, well, do you mind if somebody else sing it? I said, no, I don't mind. You are honoring me. 2 days later, God had stepped in. They called me and said, would you sing? I had a talk with God last night at the Blues Festival. I said, of course I would. And so
Okay.
Wow.
it's still up on YouTube. And it was a reaction like you've never seen before in your life.
Okay.
The same
Okay.
people, they loved it. It was really a wonderful thing for me also.
Wonderful. Good
Wow.
question, Drew. Good question. Come on in, Professor.
Good evening, Pastor Mitty. Thank you
Hey,
for being with
Professor.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know that today you serve as the pastor at the More Like Christ Christian Fellowship Ministries.
Yes.
Do I have the name right?
You got it.
Okay. How does your experience as a performing artist impact your work and connection with your congregation today?
Ooh,
I
good
think it
question.
helps me in terms of being able to relate to people because I was out in the public so long, and now it's hard being a pastor because you're dealing with so many different personalities and so many different people. But I have a reputation for being a praying pastor who really gets prayers through. And so I'm bothered all the time with that, but it's really not a bother because the more I pray for others, the more power I get. So it helps me with me being out around other people so much and traveling and meeting so many different personalities as I travel. It helps me to deal with the people in my church, even the younger ones, the older ones. It doesn't matter, male or female. I can really get to them and relate to them. It's really, really a wonderful thing that happened out there. It really helps you to get along with people. Really does.
Good question, Professor. Good question.
And Professor, you mentioned More Like Christ. That's MLC. Those are my initials. My middle name is Lene, Lene. And I was on the way to my feeding program one day with my daughter Elisha driving, and we got ready to turn the corner on 47 off of King Drive where we feed in that field. And I looked up and I saw my initials in the air. And God had been telling me that I was going to start a ministry. And I didn't know what I would go to sleep at night saying, wonder what the name is going to be. And I never did. When I wake up, I forgot whatever that name was. So out in the air, I saw my initials. And I said, look, Elisha, that my initials in the air. Of course, she didn't see it. I said, but my name is not by them. It says More Like Christ. So that's where the church name came from. And those are my initials, More Like Christ.
Wow. Great story. Great story.
Thank you.
Great
Very
story. Great story. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I did this or not. I think I did. Welcome to the Friday night show. We have the legendary pastor Mitty Collier as our guest this evening. I don't know if I did that or not, but if I didn't, I did it. I'd like to take a moment and say hello to some of your congregation who are tuning in from Cleveland. Mr. Maurice Clark, Mahalia Sutherland, and say your secretary's name again for me.
Tandrea.
Okay. Tandrea, they're tuning in from the Chicago area, checking us out. Ronald Hayes is in this area. Robin, Lady D, Barry Osborne, Miss Emma Paris. I know you may know this name. This was Fred Parris's wife who sang with the Five Satins. This is his wife who's tuning in with us. And also William Smoke Howard, lead singer of the Ebonies, tuning in with us tonight. My question to you at this time, you got ordained in 1989 and you've been on that way since. I just want to give you a little story. A good friend of mine and a very good friend of yours Brother Garnett Mims.
Yes.
Most of the folks here know the story of how we became friends and what have you. But I had honored him some years ago, 13 different acts. I had honored him, and I had asked him if he would sing a verse of Cry Cry Baby, while we got the award. He did the same thing that you did when those folks at the Blues Festival asked you to do. I had a talk with my man last night. He said, Ali, I don't sing that anymore. I won't sing it. I'll sing a gospel song.
Right.
My thing to him was, well, Garnett, I don't have a problem with you singing a gospel song, but that's not what you're known here for in this gem. He said, and he was very staunch and he stood by it. So he's saying, I think the Lord's Prayer or something like that, and it gave him his award. And I understand where you're coming from, not trading your values in for a dollar. I understand that quite well. We never got a chance to talk about that, so I wanted to share that story with you. What I would like for you to do, Pastor Collier, if you would, talk about the difference between being received in the secular world and being received in the gospel world. We already know that when you went overseas, you were like a superstar. We already know that because that's how they are over there versus how it is here. Go ahead, if you would, please.
Well, in the scriptures, it says, Jesus said, a prophet is without honor except in his own hometown. And it's amazing how other people will receive you more than your own. It's even like that in my own church, I must say it. I guess people get used to what you do and they just lay back, and I can go someplace else and people just turn over. In my hometown, when I would go there singing R&B, you couldn't get in the places. Never could. And I can almost count on two hands the times I've been to my hometown to do gospel music. It's amazing and it's hurtful. And I was honored this year, after 54 years, to be in the Alabama Blues Hall of Fame. Just did it after all of this. Same thing with the Blues Festival here. So I think that it's really, I really don't know what it is, but people are not as receptive in the gospel field. To me, they weren't, as they were in R&B. And that's why I had a talk with my man, is where most of my royalties come from today, because people are still buying it. You said how special it is, and it is. And I'm so thankful for that, because I believe that there's a time for everything. And what the Jewish people didn't give us in terms of our monies for the recordings, God is making up for it now, because they would give us a half a penny of a half a penny of a half a penny, and you stay there. Don't let them buy you a car. I think I still owe Chess, but in 1967 Bonneville that they bought me, So I just think that it's harder, but you have to keep on going. When you have been made a commitment to do something like Garnett did, and I've done, and people would ask me, well, different ones sang different ones. Al Green, he sang both of them, and he preacher. How come you can't? And Aretha sang both of them. Why can't you do it? I said, well, that's a different thing for me than for them. I'm committed. And when God gave me back my voice, y'all, I was on tour when I lost my singing voice. I kept feeling my tones drop every night on that 40-day tour. I didn't think I would make it. But instead of going playing cards or shooting dice or partying, because I never would drink anything. I drank, but I didn't drink before I performed, because I didn't want it ever to be said that I needed some stimulant to help me to sing, because my mom said I could sing before I could talk. But on that tour, I felt my voice tone begin to drop. And so instead of partying and everything, when we finished, I would go somewhere, either to the next hotel that we were going or on that bus, and I would pray for the Lord to ask me, to help me to make it through the tour. And by the time I got home, I could barely talk. I could only whisper. And I went straight to the ENT, and they looked and said that I had a polyp on my vocal cord that was big as an egg, and they could
Wow.
remove it. They would remove it, and I'd have to rest, and I would get my voice back. And so, of course, I did exactly what they said afterward. I rested my voice. I wouldn't talk. I wrote notes around my house and everything that I needed to write to. I would not talk. And when I went back after the 6 week, and the doctor said, say, "Ee," and nothing came out. And they were surprised and said, well, I don't understand it because there's nothing there. We got everything that was there.
Okay.
I found out since then that when God gets ready to heal you, a doctor can't do you no good. And
Okay.
God wanted me to know. And I came back to the house. They told me to come back and wait for another week. And during that week, I sat, I moaned, I groaned, and I found out since then that the Spirit make intercessions for you with groanings that you don't know what to pray for sometimes, but He does.
Okay.
And I found out later that my prayer to Him was, Mitty said, if you give her back her voice, she'll use it for you for the rest of her life. That
Okay.
was my commitment to the Lord. And that's where I stand today. Even when people said, when I went over, you know, to overseas there and to Japan, Tokyo, they said, oh, when she get over there, she'll sing anything. I said, the same God over there in the United States. I
Okay.
won't do that. And they knew when they invited me that I did not sing R&B anymore. And I was
Okay.
the only gospel singer on the show over there. And people accepted me just like, they didn't care what I was singing. I could have sang,
Right.
Mary,
Right.
right. And they would have
Right.
accepted it, you know. So
Right.
that is a difference in that. It
Well,
is.
I certainly do applaud you for your stance and your staunch stance. I applaud you heartily for that because when Garnett told me that what he did, I was a bit confused. But as time went on and we talked and we talked and we talked, I understood and I certainly understand your position. So I right now will give you a nice round of applause for your
Thank you.
stand, and I appreciate your stand. I
Thank
really
you.
do. Restful, come on in if you would, please.
Yes. Pastor Mitty, since your hit was adapted from James Cleveland's gospel piece,
Mm-hmm.
how did he feel about you transforming a sacred gospel message into a secular love song?
Terrible, terrible. He really didn't like me at first at all. He learned to, but he didn't at first. When we were in the studio one day, and Leonard Caston, who was the pianist for the studio band, and he asked me. He came in with this album at that particular time, and he wanted me. He said, "Help me with this song. I want to teach to my choir," because he played for Bishop Biden's church, the choir. They had a wonderful choir. And so he gave me the words and started playing. And I started singing. And my producer, Billy Davis, came through and he said, what is that? And we told him. And he kept walking, didn't know that he was going to the back to record what we were doing. And a couple of days later, he came back with the words changed. Said, get down here. We got this song. And it was I Had a Talk with God last night.
Wow.
That song came about then. And so when I got to singing gospel, Reverend Cleveland, he wasn't too pleased with me at first, but he learned he learned to like it, and then he went on and started singing some of the blues stuff himself. Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to
Right.
me, you know, stuff. Started
Yeah.
doing it himself. So it worked out, but that's where that song came from. And so we had a vein now, and I went right on to his No Cross, No Crown, which
Yeah.
I did No Faith, No Love. From that, they've changed that, and that will be good enough for me if I can make it to heaven. And I did, if I can make you love me, that'll be good enough for me. You know, you all
Okay.
remember that? It said, I never been
Yeah.
to Paris.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so we went and played that out until it played out. And then we went to that Ray Charles thing after that. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Good question, Russell. Good question. There's always been a consistent battle, if you will, between gospel and circular music, always has been. And I mean, even the great ones, Aretha Franklin, you named already, Sam Cooke. And here's one of the examples. And we talked about this last week with Glenn Leonard Sr., who is a minister as well. But we talked about this last week. And I say this often. Who did Sam Cooke think he was fooling when he recorded the song not Wonderful, the first one, and he changed his name to Dale Cook? Who did he think he was fooling? Because once he opened his mouth, you knew it was Sam Cooke, you know? So that's a little funny that I throw in there from time to time and just ask, who do you think he was fooling? Drew, come on in, bro.
Yes, Pastor Collier, I want to double back to what you said about chess. The Chess Brothers did not have they had a reputation of exploiting a lot of the black singers back in the day. But I just want to clarify, you are still able to collect royalties from that hit single, I Had a Talk with My Man. Is that correct?
That's correct. And now
that is awesome.
Some of the others too. And don't get me wrong. Now, Chess is not the only company that was doing that.
That's right.
It was all of them.
Exactly.
You know, all of the companies were messing with the artists a whole lot. But yeah, that's where my biggest royalties come from today. From
Did you write that song? Are you the writer?
No.
Are you the writer of that song?
What? I had a talk with my. I just told you it came from James Cleveland. I had a talk with God, and Billy Davis changed the words to it. You know, some of the words.
Okay. Gotcha.
And because I had a talk with God. It's out now. You know, it's been out for a while.
Yes.
That I'm saying that if you go online, you'll be able to hear it, and the words similar. But he changed it to that man. You know, because that man wasn't always there. God was. Sometimes that man didn't want to be bothered with me. God does. So it was a different. But you know, the last time that I did that song was after I got saved. To do it really on stage. And at that particular time, my manager was Henry Wynn in Atlanta, Georgia. And he had gotten a contract for me previously for the benefit for the Butler YMCA. And he said, you gotta come, Mitty, you gotta come, because I could get sued, you know, for a lot of money. I said, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And he said, please. And so I prayed and I asked the Lord, could I go to Atlanta just for other people, others. He always wants you to do for others, and what you do for others, he'll do back for you. And so first thing, my plane was late to get out of Chicago. When I got to Atlanta, Otis Redding band was playing for everybody then, and everybody had rehearsed, and nobody wanted to rehearse with me. Now, my music had all the instruments, the whole band, and I ended up with Otis's organ player and a drummer, and my cousin, Joe Franklin, was there, and he said, I got my trumpet in the car. Now, okay, he went and got that out of the car. Here I am with a whole band, and I got 3 people that's going to play for me.
Wow.
And the music on I Had a Talk with My Man, the trumpets start out, bop, 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 and the tenor sax would answer, da-da-da-da, da-da-da. They would answer, and I didn't have no trumpet. And so when it came down in B flat rather than A flat that I sang in. But I sang. I had just gotten my voice back good, you know, and I sang. And when I got finished, you would have thought that they had released a stampede of horses in that place. That place went up. I mean, it went up. My knees were shaking and everything at that time, but it went up. And Henry came running down. He said, "You back, baby? You back? You back? You back? You back?" And I looked at him. I said, I did this for one reason and one reason only.
Okay.
And I had best friend, Martha, who lived in Atlanta, and I always stayed with her after I, got when I was in the world. And I didn't go to her house. I turned around when I got through, had my cousin to take me to the airport. I stayed in the airport all night long till my plane left for me to come back to Chicago. And all I could do at the end of that song, when I finished and saw those people, tears were coming. And I said, God, I thank you. And that was it.
All right.
That was it.
All right.
Mhm.
Great
Pastor,
story. Great story.
Since then,
Great story.
of course, I've seen it since then because my play, which is up online,
Yeah.
Mitty Collier's Story from Man to God, I had to do it in that because that's part of my life story,
Right.
But
Right.
other than that, I have not bothered to sing R&B since that day.
Okay. All right.
But
Good
Pastor,
question, Drew.
well, I just want to add to that. Pastor Collier, you mentioned the horns on that song. That French horn, it sounds so regal. It sets the whole song up. The Delphonics that's what I like about the Delphonics, because they used a lot of horns and French horn on their songs that make the song sound so much more beautiful. And I have to applaud you and the producers for doing that. Beautiful with those horns.
Yes.
All right. All right. Come on in, Professor.
Pastor Collier,
Mm-hmm.
after such a successful career in music, what inspired you to turn to writing stage plays? And do you view playwriting as a natural extension of your previous work as a performer and storyteller?
Well, I don't feel that I'm afraid of stage plays. I just felt that I needed to put down my life story. At that particular time, I was editorial assistant for the Journal of Chemical Physics at the University of Chicago. And there was a lady that worked there. And I went to lunch one day and she ran in touch with me, came in touch with me, and she said, "Oh, I heard your testimony I was singing gospel." She said, "I heard your testimony down on Good Friday on the service when you was testifying. You need to put your story, your life story into a play." And she was a playwright. I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah." So I began to pray about it. So every day at work, when I was on break, I would sit down and start typing. And I just started in Birmingham, where it all began at the 401 Club there. And I started to putting down things, and it's real things in my life. None of it was play. And that's what I came up with, from man to God. And I started, when there's another young lady, when my youngest daughter, played me at first, and she looked so much like me till people didn't know whether that was me or her on the stage. She sings beautifully too. And finally, the young lady who is one of the ministers under me, Pastor Victoria Brady, she played me when I was young. And we changed on I Had a Talk with My Man. That's where we changed from her to me. And when I came on the stage on the second part, he said he wasn't mine. How did the place went up? All these church folk it went up. And so but they doing this on this blues song. And then we get through, telling my story. And on the end, that's where I Had a Talk with God. And these same folk that fell out on the other part, they fell out on that. So it's a wonderful play. You all should go up online and pick it up and see it. It's good.
Absolutely.
You say it's on YouTube?
It's on, I think, ericmauriceclark.com. I'll have to send it to Ali where it is.
Okay, please do. Please do.
And where it is.
Please do. Please do. We'd love to see it.
Can you hear the people that you call their names?
Can I hear them?
Uh-huh.
No, they're not on the line with us. They're like watching. If you were, so no, I can't hear them.
Oh, okay. Because Maurice, what you saying?
They're sending messages.
Oh, okay. They sending messages. Tell Eric Maurice to send it. Maurice to send where you could tell him to send it to you. She said they could send you a message, right?
Yes, they can. I'm looking
Okay.
on my Facebook page right now.
Mhm.
I know you said Maurice was there. I thought maybe he could send it to
Yeah,
you.
he came in early. Yeah, he came in early. Let me see who we got here. Robin, William Smoke Howard, Miss Emma Parrish. I told you she's the wife of the five.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
5 seconds.
that's all I see so far.
Oh, Maurice not still there. Oh, okay. Well, I'll send it to you where you can get it. You know,
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to see it where everybody's seeing
Yeah.
this. I was
But
hoping,
but after we get through, Pastor, they can go on YouTube to watch the whole show. You know what I mean? They can go on
Mhm.
YouTube to watch the whole show. It'll be up on YouTube because we're recording it now. So it'll be up on YouTube.
Okay. Well, maybe
Okay.
Enid can reach for Maurice, and he'll type back in and put it up there.
Okay. Okay. You can always call me if you want. Let me ask you this because we're sort of winding down here. I told you an hour goes very, very fast. What I'm just going to do one part because I want to get back to everybody. Everybody that has come on, especially from the South, has shared a horror story with us about traveling through the Chitlin Circuit. I know you have at least one. Would you share it with us, please?
Yes. Uh, one night, my son was in Birmingham with my mother. He stayed there while me and my husband were on the road, and I was playing in Louisville, Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
and we were coming when we finished about 1 in the morning at the nightclub. We decided to go to Birmingham that night so that when my son Eldest woke up, he would see me. And we left, and coming through those mountains, we saw this red light behind us. And he wasn't speeding because we knew better than to do
Right.
that. And they pulled us over up in the mountains and told what you ends doing out here this time of night, and everything, talking to us. And they told him, my husband, that he was speeding and he knew he wasn't. And they said, you stay here and we'll be back. We're going to take him down to the court. And I said, do I look like a fool? I mean, I might act like one, do I look like one? I'm going to stay up in those mountain dogs and that. So when they pulled off, I jumped in the seat and they thought they were going to leave me, but I knew how to drive. When they said, screw, I did too, right behind. And
Mhm.
they took him in this little house, you know, and came back out and asked me, and just I know it was nothing now, but the Spirit of the Lord had me to put all my money down in my bosom, take it out of my purse and put it in my bosom, and I left. I think I left. I can't exactly remember, but maybe about $100 in my purse. And he had told them that the money was in the car, and so when they came out, they said, "Where's your purse? Where your pocketbook?" And I told them, and they grabbed it and got the $100. This all you got? No, I said, yeah, that's all I got. And so they brought him out and told us, you ends, get out of here and don't never let us catch you back through here no more. And it was a
Wow.
frightening thing because they could have killed us and set
Yeah.
one of them houses on
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
just like they did our people all along the way. And we would not ever, nobody ever would have known what had happened to us.
Right.
It was
Right.
real
Mm.
frightening. That was just one of the things that had happened
Yeah. I'm
that
sure.
was
Yeah.
I'm
very
sure.
frightful to me.
I'm
Mm.
sure. Like I said, every artist that comes on has one of those stories, and I ask that only because our listening audience, we don't know about that. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? How
right.
bad it was
It was
on the
bad.
Chitlin Circuit. You know what I'm saying?
It
We
was
have
bad.
no idea.
It
I'm
was
sorry. Go ahead,
bad.
there.
It was bad. You know, when
Yeah.
we got to the hotel, there was only one hotel that we could stay in. On that bus, we had a Jewish man, Margot, who stood in the front, right, sat in the front, right across from the driver. And when we get to the hotel, like the Sheridan that they let us stay in, he would get off and go in and book the rooms for all of us. And the bus would drive around the back. And we had to go through the kitchen up the freight elevator
Mm.
to that one floor that
Oh,
we had to
nice.
stay on, even though we had paid, like everybody else. We
Right,
could not
right,
eat in the hotel. We got, thank God for all of the black uh, restaurant owners that we had that had different places along the Gulf Coast that we could stop and eat, and they knew we were coming because they had
right,
already booked those things. And that's where we had to go for lunch, come back down, get on the bus, go there, come back around, come back through the back,
right,
those things like that. And when we did finally were able to go in places like the Holiday Inn and go out, and we would go out and sit around the pool. Soon as they saw us coming out the door, they jumped out the pool and went to their rooms. The white
right,
people, they didn't want
right,
to even be in the same water with us, but they wanted to see us perform.
right,
So they
right,
wanted to do that,
right.
but they didn't want to, couldn't eat with them and couldn't do anything else.
Wow.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Thank you. I know that's not the most happiest experience, but thank you for sharing that. And you understand why I sort of asked that. We're gonna
Yes.
start moving into the conclusion of it. Drew, go ahead. You got a sort of a closing question, if you will.
Uh, yes, Pastor Collier. First of all, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your stories. Uh, do you? I know it's cold up there now in Chicago. Do you do any traveling crusades? State by state.
No, no. Since
Okay.
I've been pastoring, before I was pastoring, I was just doing a lot of evangelizing. So I would do quite a bit of traveling and doing revivals at that particular time. But you can't leave your home too long, but without something happening. So I don't. Sometimes I'll get an engagement to go somewhere to speak, but most of the time I'm at home here in Chicago.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I do go to other churches in Chicago, but I don't go out too much anymore. I'm 84 now, so I don't make it anymore. I'm 84 years old, and I'm really asking the Lord, because I'm on let me retire. I'd like to keep my Bible study on Tuesday night because it's very fruitful. We do that on conference line, and that's really good. 339-209-5464. If you all want to come on sometime, that's real good. And so, but other than traveling now, I don't do too much now if they reach for me. And since I went to Japan, right after I left Japan, the tsunami happened. So I ain't excited about going. I ain't excited about going back over there either.
All right. Good question, Drew. Good question. Restful, come on in, babe.
Yes. Pastor Minnie, your play From Man to God. What emotions come up? What emotions came up for you when watching those pivotal moments of your life that was being reenacted in your play?
Because I am who I am, and God is who He is. All of them came up. Though there was some laughter, were tears, there was sadness, there was sorrow. Because in the play, I had to tell that my dad had a part in the play, and I had to think about it. He was no longer with me at that particular time when I wrote it. So different emotions came up as I was writing the play and as I was performing in the play. And people really didn't want to see it unless I was in it. And that's why I put it on video like that, because I can't shake like that no more because I was dancing and all of that. So there was joy, there was sorrow, there was sadness, there was laughter. Every emotion came forth as I was doing that play.
Right. Professor?
Yes. Pastor Collier, thank you so much for being here with us. This has been really enlightening. But my final question would be, can you share a little more about your outreach programs, such as your Feed a Neighbor and the Bible study telephone prayer line? Can you repeat that number again?
Okay, the Bible study telephone prayer line has been going on since 1983. I was in a church in the choir, and all I heard was gossiping about one another. And then they get up and sing and tear up church and everything. And so I came home one night and I said, I can't be bothered with this. These people talking about one another and everything. And God just spoke to me and said, well, why don't you help? And I'm wondering, how can I help? He said, well, give them the gospel rather than gossip, and use the phone. And I didn't know why I had gotten a three-way line. I ain't needed that. But somehow it just got on my phone. At that time, you didn't have no conference line there. It was just three-way line. And I don't know. So my spiritual mother, Evelyn Spatzer, she was over the bookstore there, National Baptist Bookstore. And she had got me into different books to study. And there was one called 365 Devotions that I was studying for my Sunday school lesson and everything. And I went to my choir and I asked them, I said, how many of y'all want to study the Word of God? And I had about 40 of them to say, I do. And about 35 of them, 40, had a three-way line. And so I went around with my spiritual mother and we got these books for everybody. And we started to study the Word of God. And I was teaching on every line. I had a line, the first line started at 6. I had another one at 6:30. Then I had to get my daughter ready for school. Then we did one at 7. And then when I got to the office, I did one at 9 and at 12 and at 5 in the evening. And I had young people at 10 at night. And I was teaching on all of them. And then all of a sudden, God told me to pick the ones off of the lines. So now I have line leaders on there. Now, one thing that happened, Professor, is that I had 65 men, and I'm talking about preachers and Bible, Sunday school teachers, and all on the line in. Today, I got 5. So that lets you know what has happened to families right there. The men have failed to take their spot the way they do. That's why the boys and things, the girls, talking back to the parents and all like that, doing things that I'd have been dead if I had done.
Okay.
But
us too.
It still
Us
goes
too.
on, but we don't have as many as I had then. I had like 300 people on there from different denominations because everywhere I would go to sing, I would talk about studying the Bible, and people were interested. So that's how I got all the different people on the line. If I go back and get my roster now and you look at it, you'll see people from every denomination on there that believed in the deity of Jesus Christ. Of course, I didn't let anybody on that did not believe that. And today, we still have it going on. People have died on the line, did not want to leave. In 1985, 2 years later, we started having lessons on who is your neighbor, do you love your neighbor, from both the Old and New Testament. And God said, now it's time for you to put some legs on my word. And we started Feed a Neighbor by we started in the car and had food in the cars. And we went to 3 or 4 different lots until God had one of the members, Mary Talbot, say, I know somewhere where we can go. And it was on 47 in Vincennes. And we were there to 2003 when God gave me my ministry of the church, because we moved it over by ABJ Community Center first, and then over by my church where we feed from now. But that's the way it got started, Feed a Neighbor. And we have a big picnic for them in July. We give away backpacks with supplies in August. And in Christmas time, we were giving fruit, nuts, candy, hats, socks, gloves, 2 brand new toys for the children, dolls,
awesome.
games,
Awesome.
all of that. All of those things that we were giving. I had to stop the one at Christmas because now people are too entitled. They want us to stay there all day and wait on, we fed over 500 people from 10 o'clock to 12. Now we sitting there 12 waiting, when they coming, and people get entitled and stuff. So I just asked the Lord, he said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You've done well. So I stopped that last year. That was the last year before last was our last year for doing that Christmas one. But we still do the back to school and the picnic. We still do those. And and that was rain, shine, sleet, or snow, you are below zero. I've seen miracles, rain on one side of the street while it was dry on the other side. That we were on. God worked miracles just so we can do for the poor. And our verse is, he that have pity on the poor lendeth unto God, and he will repay you with interest. And he does.
All right. Good question, Professor. Very good question.
One second. Can you repeat the number for the prayer line?
Okay, now that's not the Bible study telephone prayer line. Everybody got their own conference line. Now that's for my Bible study on Tuesdays at 7 Central Standard Time. That's 339-209-5464. And anybody who wants to get it on, I often email them the outline that we're on. And we've been on prayer for about it's going on into the second year. I've been teaching on prayer, and we've all been learning so much. And anybody's welcome.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you. That's what I was going to ask there, Professor. But thank you very much. Pastor Collier, one quick question, quickly, because we're coming down on time. Give me a list or name some of the people that you enjoyed being on stage with when you were performing.
Oh, we already talked about Patty LaBelle, the Bluebells, Gladys Knight, Marvin Gaye. Oh, don't let me forget Jerry Butler. You know, we were here in Chicago together. And the Impressions, they were the most gentlemanly group that's out there on the road, you know, all the time. Very good. And then we had Otis Redding, Barbara Lynn, anybody that you could name, Chuck Jackson in the 60s. They were just a beautiful bunch of people that I loved dearly, and they loved me. It was really a wonderful time working with them.
And of course, Garnett Mims.
Of course, Garnett. Garnett, always pleasant, always.
Yeah.
When he told me he was preaching, I didn't doubt it for a second.
Right. Good guy. Well, listen, you have a storied career. You really do. Not to mention one better than the other, but obviously one brought you're in God's hands now, and we pray that everything works well in your favor, your health, and everything works well in your favor. You have some new friends here in the Philadelphia area, with myself and the staff here. So we will be in touch with you one way, shape, or other. At least I will. And look forward to the prayer line and some of the other things that you're doing. And obviously, if we can help in any type, way, shape, or form, I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you so much.
I'm not going to answer the phone while it's cold. When it gets warm, I'll answer the phone. It's too cold. Listen, I love you dearly, but it's too cold to come to Chicago now. It is totally too cold. But seriously speaking, to all of your congregation who tuned in tonight, I don't know everybody's name, but the names that I do know, Mr. Maurice Clark, Miss Mahilliard Sutherland. All right, help me with the name again.
That's Tandrea.
Tandrea. I don't know why I can't get that right. Maybe about 17 more times and I'll get it right. Tandrea. The folks down on this end, Mr. Ronald Hayes, Robin, from our Thursday night gang. Yes, dear. Go ahead.
Is Ronald Hayes there? I grew up with a fellow named Ronald Hayes, but I don't know whether this is the Ronald Hayes that I grew up with in Birmingham.
Okay.
And please mention 8201 South Dobson in Chicago. That's where More Like Christ is located.
You just did it. Do it again if you want. Do it again.
8201 South Dobson, DOBSON, in Chicago, 60619. That's where we're located.
All right. There's Robin from our Thursday night show, Lady D from our Thursday night show, Barry Ogborn, Miss Emma Paris, William Smoke Howard from the Ebonies, and Miss Desiree Potts. All of you folks that have joined in, we want to thank you for tuning in to our show. This happens to be our last one for this year. We'll be back next year, and of course, I'll let you know exactly when. I can't think of a better way to go out with this, besides having this legend here, Pastor Mitty Collier, with it. Everybody do me a favor. Let's give her a nice round of applause for everything that she's done and for the things that she stands for. We really, really do appreciate you. We're going to close up. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure and stick tight at 10 o'clock from 10 until 2 a.m. Put your radios on WPPM 106.5 FM or phillycam.org/listen. Yours truly, My Oldie Show, comes on from 10 until 2. What a great way to enter your Saturday morning with some great oldies. This coming Wednesday on my TV show, Salt, Pepper, and Memories, Mr. Eddie Holman, be sure and tune in if you would. And of course, on RTR on Thursday night, that will be our Christmas show. I hope that you'll tune in and get some of those Christmas memories. And of course, the question that I have out for everybody, we'll put that up on Facebook in a little while. Pastor Collins, Collier, thank you so very much for joining us. Please kiss your daughter and give your daughter a hug for sticking around and making sure that everything went right. I certainly do appreciate it. And I am hopeful that we get to see each other and hug each other sometime soon.
I do too. And so
Yeah.
get some of your good food and some of mine too. I thank you all so very much for having me, and please invite me back again.
You are so welcome.
Yes,
you are
ma'am.
so welcome.
Yes,
You are
ma'am.
so welcome. But you got to come in the summertime because I do no winter cooking unless you like beans. Now, if you like beans, I can do some beans for you.
All
right, everybody have a great weekend. Be safe. And
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays. New Year. Everybody be safe.
Take care. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.